the death penalty. A punishment reserved for the most terrible, cruel, degenerate, and downright depraved members of society. When I think of someone who deserves the death penalty, I think of people that do irreversible harm to society. Mass murderers, rapists, terrorists. I think of people like Jeffrey Dahmer, who killed 17 people in cold blood. Kevin Underwood, who abducted, raped, murdered, then cannibalized a 10-year-old. Ted Bundy, who kidnapped, raped, and murdered dozens of young women and teenage girls. Because of the death penalty not being allowed in all states, not all of these monsters were put to death. They got to live out the rest of their lives in confinement, sure, but they got to live out the rest of their lives nonetheless. They enjoyed the luxury of living and all the feelings that come with existence itself. If you are religious, they were spared, for a time, going into the fiery depths of hell. Some say that monsters like this don't deserve to be completely removed from our society, but need to remain alive to think about what they did wrong. Moreover, some believe that we waste our tax money on prison resources on keeping them alive. Some say it's inhumane to kill killers because you're just as bad as them. Inhumane? Really? Do you think that when Ted Bundy raped and killed dozens of teenage girls, he was being humane? Or when Kevin Underwood raped and cannibalized a 10-year-old, do they really deserve to stay alive? Was it humane for the families of these victims and murders in general to one day see them possibly walk free? I believe in the death penalty because I believe in justice. Because of these discussed reasons, I believe the death penalty gives justice to the victim's family. It deters violent/serious crime from happening, and the reform needed to use the death penalty effectively. Justice. What is justice? The dictionary definition of justice when talking about morality is fairness that is given to the persons what is due to them. Urban Dictionary. This definition essentially means that everyone has the right to get what they deserve. For example, if I work on a group project and I do all the work, then is it fair if my classmates who did none of the work get the same grade as me? No, only I should get the grade. Or if someone took hours building or making something and I take it from them, that wouldn't be just or fair to them. Now, how would you go about repaying them? Well, I would have to give it back in some shape or form and maybe something extra for the trouble, right? Now, what if I were to take the life of an innocent person? Would it be just to pay it back with my own? How else do you repay the gift of life? The chances of you being alive right now are 1 in 400 quadrillion, which is 60 zeros. So, for you to be an innocent person and someone comes and murders you, that is one of the worst crimes another human can commit. In my mind, the only way to right that wrong is for the murderer to die as well. If we let whoever did this live, well, who's to say another innocent life won't die to the hands of the same person? But how do you go about making sure justice is enforced, and so bad things like this and many others like it don't happen again? The most effective way to put out punishment would be if I were to take something important away from you, like their freedom, or if I do something to hurt others, then I get hurt myself, one way or the other. For theft, it would be paying back whatever I stole, and some jail time, and possibly even rehabilitation to ensure I don't do this crime ever again. However, for some instances, such as murder, the only way to pay back the life of an innocent person would be with your own. To me, justice is undoing a wrong in the best way you can. For most bad things in life, you can undo your wrong. But for some others, there is simply nothing you yourself can do to right your wrong. It is just to kill murderers because it is the only way for them to repay the murder that they have done. An eye for an eye, so to speak. When I say murderers, I mean someone that has killed an innocent person. The only way to truly protect innocent from murderers is to provide the death penalty to murderers. This will ensure a truly safe society and rid our society of the people that have chosen violence over diplomacy and aggression over peace. And if you still don't think it is just to kill murderers because of your religious beliefs, let me indulge you with Leviticus 24:17. If a man takes the life of any human being unlawfully, he shall most certainly be put to death. Of course, when it's talking about unlawfully, it's talking about innocent persons, saying that when you kill an innocent person, you should be put to death. A popular counter-argument to this justification of the death penalty is, isn't it better to see them suffer with life in prison? I very much disagree with this statement because there's such a high likelihood that the murderer is going to kill again, even kill other inmates in the prison that have done lesser crimes. See, by removing them entirely from society, this liability goes away, as well as serving way more justice to the victims' families, knowing that this evil person that killed their family member is no longer on this earth. It is because of these reasons I believe the death penalty is just. The death penalty deters crimes. Picture this. Let's say you really intensely hate someone, and you've gotten to the point of considering killing them. Depending on where you live, I don't know, let's just say California. The maximum amount of sentence you could get there would be 25 years in prison. That's right, 25 years. If you really wanted to kill a person, you could walk free in 25 years. Now let's take a state with the death penalty. Let's just say South Dakota. The maximum sentence in South Dakota would be the death penalty. Also, California has had its death penalty on pause since 2019. Thank you, Gavin Newsom. I can hear you thinking, being like, well, California has way more people, and that's why there's higher murder rates. Well, let me tell you, North Dakota, a state very close to South Dakota, doesn't have the death penalty and has a similar population to South Dakota, yet it still has higher murder rates than South Dakota. This is just one example of how the death penalty deters crimes. Now, think about it like this. If you're a rational person, you're not going to go out and commit a murder if you know you're also going to die. In fact, harsh punishment deters all crimes. If you know you're going to be harshly punished for something, people won't commit these crimes. See, the death penalty is the ultimate harsh punishment. There is nothing more on this earth you could do to punish someone else besides torture, which is just straight vengeance, not justice at all. It's just hurting someone for the sake of hurting them, not actually removing them. Anyway, back to the point. Of course, when the death penalty causes lower crime rates, it in turn is proven that when crime rates go down, unemployment goes down, meaning your society will not only be safer, but it will be happier and richer as more people are getting employed and making money. It is because of this logic and reasons I believe that the death penalty deters murderers and other heinous crimes, saves countless lives, and protects our society and creates a safer community that people want to live in. Reform needed for the death penalty to work. At the present moment, the death penalty in the USA has some very easily fixable flaws. One of the biggest being the fact that when someone is sentenced to death, they wait decades to kill the inmate, the longest ever being 46 years of waiting before the prisoner was executed. It is like this because the prisoner can go through this lengthy legal process to try to repeal their sentence. Even though they rarely ever get repealed, they still have a right to do so. Thus, 95% of the time, the only way prisoners get out of death row is by a pardon by the governor or president. Because of this lengthy time gap on death row, we waste millions of tax dollars keeping death row inmates alive for years and years and years on end. The more effective way to fix this problem would be to ensure that the inmate did the crime, then to give them the death penalty the next day after they are sentenced. In Singapore, when you are sentenced to the death penalty, they kill you the next day. More importantly, Singapore has the 6th lowest crime rate in the entire world. The countries with lower crime rates having significantly less population than Singapore. If we did this, not only would this deter crime even more, it would make the death penalty 10 times more effective. This is just one of the reforms the death penalty could use in the US. Of course, another one would just be to make sure 100% that the inmate on death row committed the crime, to ensure no innocent people are falsely executed. This checking to make sure an innocent person is not put to death rarely occurs. However, as technology has advanced and it's become easier and faster to tell who committed a crime. An example of this is, if you even touch anything in the vicinity in a murder scene, the government can find you and track you down by your DNA. Additionally, with cameras being put up a lot more than they used to be, it's become easier to track people down who are committing crimes. As well as technological advancement has caused falsely convicted death row inmates to keep going down and down and down over the years on average. Now, with these easy reforms, it can make the death penalty cheaper by cutting the cost of inmates living on death row for literally decades on end, safer to the population as criminals are sentenced and killed faster. Popular counter-arguments for the death penalty is, oh, the death penalty is inhumane. saying that the state should have no authority to take a life. Yet, this argument ignores the basic principle of justice. Murderers and perpetrators of other heinous crimes, such as rapists and terrorists, have already violated their humanity by doing the action that they did. Their actions show complete disregard for humanity. So why should society extend kindness to people who have already damaged society irreversibly? Allowing them to live, even in prison, undermines, undercuts, and undervalues the life of their victims. The death penalty is not just about cruelty, it's about justice. By removing dangerous people from society permanently, the death penalty ensures public safety and reinforces the moral standards of any sane society. You know, in my eyes, the most persuasive counter-arguments for the death penalty is the chance for wrongful convictions. The idea that you can accidentally execute someone who did nothing wrong is truly chilling, but when people point to cases where inmates have been exonerated after being sentenced to death, arguing that even one wrongful conviction is unacceptable, well, this is a valid concern, don't get me wrong. Advancements in forensic science and technology, such as DNA analysis, have significantly reduced the risk. See, today, the likelihood of wrongful conviction is far lower than it was in the past, where all these studies have been conducted. In conclusion, the death penalty is a form of justice for society's most heinous crimes. While it is not without its flaws, reforms such as faster sentencing processes and advancements in forensic technology can address the main issues about cost and wrongful convictions. The death penalty not only provides justice for the victims' families, but also acts as a massive deterrent to violent crimes, creating a safer society. By implementing changes to ensure efficiency, the death penalty can serve as a moral, both ethically and religiously, way to rid our society from crime, as well as being an efficient tool to protect innocent lives and uphold justice in a way that no other punishment on earth can achieve. Because of these reasons, I believe the death penalty is justified, how it works as a deterrent, and how to easily reform it so it is effective in its purpose. Hello! I'm the Right-Wing Lutheran. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you have anything to say about it, leave it in the comments. I'll be going over them. And please leave a like and subscribe. I'm kind of starting this whole thing off, and I want to see what people think about it. So, here's my first video. Hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, thank you for watching.